Hello everyone, my name is Dario Sanfilippo and I am a composer, performer and audio developer. I work in the field of algorithmic composition and performance and music technology. My artistic research focuses on the exploration and investigation of feedback systems and complex adaptation, so that I implement complex adaptive systems with which I interact live when the performance involves an interaction with a human. Otherwise, I explore these systems as autonomous machines that I deploy for solo computer performances or sound installations. And I'm recording this video for Anton, whom I'd like to thank for inviting me to his series. And for the floating sound gallery, I will be presenting both recordings of these autonomous systems and also as well as a live performance. The first day will be the evening for acousmatic pieces, and there will be acousmatic pieces for two of my projects. One is called Order from Noise and the other one is called Constructing Realities. My development for these music systems follows the practice of agent-based modeling. So you can think that as you can think of these digital audio networks as environments populated by agents. These agents are sonic entities that they are capable of doing some kind of audio analysis of the input signals going through them, and based on this analysis they make some decision to process the sound in a specific way. So imagine that there's a network of agents and they are interacting in different ways depending on the topology that I choose for the structure of the network. So you can think of them as agents having minimal, so to speak, cognitive abilities, so that they can react to the sonic context that happens around them. And Order from Noise, it follows. It's based on really basic statistical analysis infrastructures for the analysis part, and then there's 4 or 5 main processing techniques to transform sounds. And the idea of Order from Noise comes from the concept by Hans von Forster, and it wants to be a tribute to this scientist who has inspired my work greatly. And the idea is that it's a deterministic digital feedback network. Everything is in the audio domain, so it's everything is a stream of numbers. There is no symbolic representation of music in my research. Everything is signals. Imagine that you have this deterministic system, and what I do is to open the microphone for, say, 1 millisecond. I take the stream of numbers corresponding to 1 millisecond worth of audio, and this thing will be recirculating in this network indefinitely. And it will be going through the processes of being analyzed and transformed recursively again and again, and this is how the musical form is created. So the musical form is actually the trace of this continuous adaptation that happens in the system. And the idea is that since the systems are complex, you have a really profound sensitivity to initial conditions, so much that even if the initial condition for the system is just 1 millisecond of background noise from a room, from any environment, which perceptually of course is it's nearly impossible to distinguish the difference, because the shorter the initial condition, the less information you have on this for the perceptual identification of features. But for the system, nonetheless, each different initial condition, each different millisecond of background noise will create a substantially different evolution in the system. The thing that I find interesting to say is how, starting from the same set of variables, because I reset the system whenever I reinitialize it, we start from the same situation, and then we can see that the system diverges slowly towards radically different behaviors in the end. And this is one way through which the global form in the performance is achieved, for example. So for the Order from Noise acousmatic event, we'll be listening to a set of these 1 millisecond initial conditions that have triggered the system. So we will see a few of these seeds, what they can do essentially. Constructing realities is arguably the most advanced system that I've developed, although I haven't explored it as much as order from noise. But it's a more involved infrastructure, so to speak. It follows the idea of evolvability, meaning that the adaptive agents are themselves capable of evolving and changing their internal structure based on the sonic context. So it's not just an adaptation that the sonic agents perform, meaning that they listen to what's happening and they change the sound in a specific way. They internally, recursively, also change the sensing infrastructure, meaning that the sonic context is changing the way the agents are perceiving the context itself. So there's this deep and nested recursivity and circularity at different levels, so that you can think of as a meta-adaptive system, because the adaptation is changing the adaptation itself. And for this work, we will listen to, it's almost like a demonstration. There's the initial condition for this, also deterministic system. I use deterministic systems because when randomness or stochastic behaviors are involved, you can never be sure if the unpredictability is an emergent property of the system or if it's given by randomness. And the essential difference is that when you have randomness in some system, it's something that usually works in a different domain as the sonic elements, meaning that no one is changing the behavior of the random generators, for example. In this case, on the other hand, everything that is all the unpredictability is generated by means of complex interactions between these agents. And for the constructing realities, the initial condition for the system is just one single impulse, and based on this impulse of some different amplitude other than one, I think, we have a composition that runs for about 26 minutes, and that's what we will listen to. And for the performance that is the day after, I will perform a variant of the order from noise system that is based on a mapping criteria that I've referred to as systemic mapping, meaning that I try to create meaningful relationships between the mapping of one single fader that goes inside different parameters, so that the fader will change several parameters at the same time, but the way it changes the parameters will create both positive and negative feedback relationships, meaning that if one parameter changes towards one direction to increase some specific features of the sounds, we'll have another one that will compensate this behavior, or other ones that will reinforce this kind of behavior. And the configuration for this performance is that of the no input mixing board. Essentially, I will be working with a mixer and a computer, so that there's a feedback loop that goes through the analog domain and back to the digital one, and I will be controlling how much of the output goes inside itself, while the system internally also has digital feedback loops and adaptation. Thank you.